Cabra! All right. Hello. Hope you're all doing well. I'm here with a report. I do these quarterly pretty much. Might do them more frequently. We'll see in the future what we do. If you've never been here, I'm Bob. I do a lot of Arthuriana actual plays. I also do interviews with game designers. And I'm just going to be going through what's on my plate, what I'm doing, answering questions, hoping to have some gang from the Pendragon community pop in and chatteroo, but we'll see. I'm going to go ahead and give it a minute here, see if we have anyone live. Solo in YouTube. We got a few friends popping in on Twitch. It's good. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and something here. Excellent. Okay, so where to get started? Let's see. Maybe we'll start with just presenting the monthly schedule. So this is what August looks like. So we have our standard Salisbury Anarchy, Summerland Enchantment on Tuesdays, Antilliad's Legacy on Fridays. We have Daggerheart, a new temporary mini-series, let's say, on the weekend, on Saturdays. And then we have, I had my interview with Andrew Overdahl of Occupied Hex Games. He presented on procedural and gave us a whole bunch of info about what he's doing. So I'm going to start using this template. I built it out in Canva, so it's all good to go, and all I have to do is swap in like the things that change. So the series and the interview. Eventually I'll be swapping out the long-term series, and I'll kind of talk about that now. Go a little bit quieter. There we go. All right, so we are nearing the end of Anarchy, which is like one of the longer, if not the longest, might be the longest chapter in the Great Pendragon campaign. And because it goes from 495 to 510. So two of our groups have moved into 509 now officially. And the third group's just like a week or two behind. We don't even need all three groups at this point to finish simultaneously, because they're kind of all back in their homelands for this portion. There could be some overlap, but the beauty about doing these old school games is like the odds of another group finding out something until another season or two passes is less likely. So it's not as awkward as if you try to run like a modern game all in the same city, like someone blows up a building, and be like, how do we not know about that? Right? Should have been on the news. Like, I should be aware of that. Yeah, so it's kind of nice not having to have everyone perfectly everyone else's fault, Yampa. Yeah, you're right. It's everyone else's fault. I agree. This week was mine. You can still hear it. Yeah, it's kind of nice to have all three be able to finish. Not necessarily when I say at their own pace. I still want them all done in a reasonable timeline. But like, I don't need to keep them in any sort of sequence or cadence. That is what I'm going to be moving towards in the new era. You know, I was kind of keeping vague because of the Winter Prince and the Winter Prince's death. We are going to be moving into the Boy King. So I've had no qualms about saying that I started with Sunday's game. Sunday is my flagship. It's still my most popular game to watch anyways. So we'll be continuing with that pace. Sundays will be the ones that primarily are... They'll still be Salisbury based, but they're going to be more attached to Arthur in their story. There will be points where Arthur, I think, visits elsewhere. And some, you know, the players won't be tied at the hip with him. I think the goal is to open up the round table to the entire community. If, you know, if they should earn a seat on the round table, that's a possibility, but it's not going to be the whole focus. So Sunday's pretty much ironed out. I'm putting out videos right now, actually. I just did one with Thomas where we're going to get to know the gang, because they are retiring characters. They're retiring the characters they started way back in 485 with the Sword of Victory. These are characters in their 40s. So not necessarily retiring in the game, but they're going to be retiring to secondary characters. Retiring to characters that have more involvement behind the scenes. It's wild. I have like the worst plugged up nose, and I didn't when I started this. So I'm frustrated. I'm still recovering from being sick, so give me a sec here. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Stupid fucking cold. I thought I beat it. Damn it. Okay, so all three games are I'm trying to up the quality on the game, and so, you know, I've been socializing with the players that I'll be looking to sort of establish contracts with them. These aren't like paid contracts. I understand no one's getting paid for this, but they're just like letter of expectation kind of upfront. It's a way of dealing with anything that I feel like, as the sole proprietor of what we do here, are holding it back. In minor ways, there's nothing massive. They're just ways of like, I don't want to have these conversations. I don't want to have to. And so this is an easy way of going, here's what it is. Here's what the expectation of play is. I will note they will be 90% the same. But as noted, the third game was always meant to be a spin-off, a community game, something to... Well, I couldn't afford a third Pendragon campaign. It's a lot of time investment, so it is a pro GM game. It's always said so up front, and I don't plan on taking that away. I plan on keeping it at the rates we honored, which is, I'll be upfront with it. The Ninteliad folk, they're paying, I believe, 7 US sessions, which is, if you look at your average pro GM game run by anyone with influence, they're between 20 and $25 on startplaying.games. I have no intention of like bait and switching or suggesting that. If I ever do feel like the price needs to change according to inflation or something like that, there'll be lots of advance notice, and it would be during a series break. I still want to see how Ninteliad's legacy ends. It's possible that group dissolves. Maybe they have a wrap story. I don't think so. The group has gelled really well together for like a long time. And I'm not hearing a lot of people struggling to like show up because of schedules. Like people have their usual I can't attend weeks, but overall folks are still coming to the table consistently. So I will probably keep that as a $7 a week game for each of the players as my third game. And like part of my justification for keeping it that low, one, it's Pendragon. So like good luck getting a full $20-25 from all your players on that. Two, there were only a couple people I knew that were joining that. The rest were all new friends to me at that point. And I wanted to keep it reasonable for those people. And I also thought, hey, this is a way for me to set higher expectations around the stream side. First off, I can go, this is cheap because I'm getting something from it for streaming it. And so it's kind of the way that was set up. But yes, so tangent aside, Ninteliad's looking good. We'll be concluding that story over the next month or so. Same with the Tuesday Summerlin game. Same with the Sunday Salisbury game. So it's possible Ninteliad's legacy will be the last one because they're in the middle of a civil war. So they have more going on. And they're usually limited to about 2.5 hours on Fridays. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Where from here? All right. Just gonna see who we have on. We have a couple of the Ninteliad's boys here. We have Serpentine Muse. We have Thomas popped in. Hey, Thomas. Okay. Are there any specific questions on the streams, specifically the 3 ongoing streams? Let's give it a minute here. For those that aren't aware, we are shifting away from Pendragon 5.2, which we started with, to 6th edition at the clean conversion point of the next era of play. Okay, I will actually answer this question because it's a fair point. So, in Ninteliad's Legacy, we had a character named Sir Justin that proved to be a problem for a while. In the early portion of the game, hey Cyberbro, what's up? Welcome in. So Sir Justin, we ended up saying he was of Timberlake Manor, so to Timberlake, just because it was fun. He was actually meant to be a Jareth, because he was pulled from a card, I think. Or maybe I just made him an asshole. I want to say he was pulled from a card. I could be wrong. regardless, Justin, I mean, you'll see this across all the games I run. With Pendragon specifically, especially with the dynasty aspect and the deadliness aspect, I think you need to keep that deadliness aspect for the NPCs as well. Like, if the PCs can die without going down in a blaze of glory, then the NPCs ought to as well. And it's happened quite a bit where we've had, I mean, I just drew that parallel to Jareth. Jareth was the first antagonist of the Sunday game. He got stabbed in the back during a tournament and died. Which was a plot, but there were rolls made. The people that could have gotten in the way and saw it failed the rolls. So the assassination attempt was made, but the player's awareness didn't roll successfully or whatever. So there you go. You got to honor it. Justin was kind of the same way. He started out really good, but every time we gave him a roll towards the end, it was like shit. Or we'd assign him somewhere and then stuff would go poorly there. So it's kind of interesting that he went from being like I would say he appeared like the teacher's pet coming out of early knighthood, and then he went downhill. Of all the swords, who did Nanty love the most? Definitely not Cyberbro. Lucius, he didn't even know that well. Sorry, Lucius. There are people that love Lucius in that setting. Nintiliad, you were not up there. I'm trying to think who. So Nintiliad valued Gwydir the most because there was like a undying, unyielding loyalty, right? And Nintiliad has a lot of respects for loyalty. But obviously there's also like there's a limit factor when it comes to Gwydir, where Gwydir was like the really ambitious little brother, or not ambitious, eager little brother. It's like a good job, man. You know, it was like the fan too at the same time. It was like Gwydir was kind of an Nintiliad stan, really. But yeah, I'd say Gwydir was up there. I think he would have valued Cormac the most, but Cormac just kept going crazy, and so that made it pretty hard for him to have any trust with Cormac. Yeah, you know, going through it all, it might have been Rune. As far as like stability went, the Collis was full of stability as well, but Collis had ambition that was obvious, like willing to, you know, literally leave direct lineage to do that. But I think overall, I don't think there was a sword in Nintiliad he hated or despised. There was no fool of a took, you know, fool of a took equivalent, you know. There's no Gandalf Pippin vibes going on, not directly. Yeah. Okay, so that's kind of addressing more or less what's going on in the various campaigns. We'll see how these interviews and lead-ins do for the campaign for season 5 for the main flagship. if they go well enough, anyways, if they get enough likes, enough comments, enough views, then I'll probably do that for the spin-off games as well, for Tuesday and Friday. If not, it's a lot of effort for 25 views, which is, I think, what it's at right now for Thomas's. So we'll see. We shall see. Okay. Stop there. I don't have anyone, I don't think, who's exclusively from like the Pendragon server. If they were, I was gonna show some stuff, but I'll make that a separate video. Maybe I'll just talk about where I'm going from here. So I'm gonna try to do this a little more often. Just have an hour. It'll probably slightly overlap with one of Mark's games, but I'll make sure it's like a slight overlap. I need to make a little bit more money. I'm bleeding money with what I'm doing. And some of that's just cost of trying to start a business, which is what this is. It's like an art business too, so factor in the art part of that. Because it's kind of, you know, the arts are the first thing to go when economy struggles. And guess what's happening right now? So things like professionally run games are very difficult right now. I can't imagine like depending on artist money right now. It's probably not in a great spot. Let's put it there. I do have a primary job, but it's starting to get costly, both time and money wise, to do this. So I am looking at ways to at least justify to my brain beyond the long term. Like I need some short term incentivization. So I'm looking at starting a new pro GM game. Talking with Mark about it right now. We should have more on it. It would run on Wednesdays after his like stream. We were talking about Vampire. We were talking about potentially picking a wonderful Dark Age setting that we kind of had. We tried this right after the Vampire server we had kind of crashed and burned. Not the LARP we were running, but before that, the one where we all met. A large group of the people in my community met at a server called Robyad. After that, one of the projects we jumped to immediately just to keep people together and try and get some Vampire going. We ran a modern Vampire game just about, I think, the 2010s, somewhere around there is where it was, in New York. And we had some goals of keeping them running around in the same city, all three groups. Thomas was the other ST with us. But like very quickly, our timelines fell out of alignment. Then we struggled to get players into each of the games. And it almost got to be the point where like one game would be doing well and the other two would suck. And then the other game would do well and the other two would suck. And so everyone's struggling to get players, keep them. And it got to the point where it's like, why are we even in the same world? Like, it's not really mattering at all that we have groups running around in the same world. Like, it, all that meant was extra coordination and limited creativity for the GMs because they had to coordinate with the other GMs. It didn't work. It didn't work. But we've seen things like that work just fine. They just need to have enough room to breathe on their own, but there needs to be enough consistency to do something. So Mark and I have toyed around with a few ideas like this. we toyed around with a dragons game in D&D that would work very similar, but what we'd probably do is aim for like a crossover event every month where the independent games got together. And then otherwise they're kind of running around in the same Dark Ages setting-esque. You know, maybe they're in slightly different places from time to time, but we would probably aim for the same home base. So we shall see how that goes. But that is the goal as of right now. That would be late Wednesdays, and I'd be aiming for the normal amount. Mark and I will figure out the exact charge rate, but the average on start playing these days is like 20. So it's probably going to be 20 US or 25 US a session. So if you are interested in that and you're watching this, you can ping me about it. Because even though we haven't started, I am looking for interest. I will prioritize people that I already like and know. We will see where that goes. This will not be linked to Mark's own World of Darkness series. This will be like our own little sandbox. So it won't be tied to his streams or anything I'm doing. We will have more on that subject, Mark, if we decide to do it. But I just announced for now that we're thinking about it. Ask about Legend of the Five Rings. I can talk a little bit more about the schedule. So, series-wise, I've decided to turn Saturdays, the same time I did Legend of the Five Rings, into like a regular rotation. There might be some breaks in between that because Saturdays are, well, they're ideal days for family get-togethers, barbecues, birthdays. You know, people schedule stuff on Saturdays, so not every Saturday works. But right now, there's a 3-episode Daggerheart with Cyberbro running the first session. I believe Mark is going to run the second session. I'm going to run the third on September 6th. So that is August 23rd, August 30th, September 6th. Join us there. After that, in October, we'll be doing a Delta Green miniseries here, and we're bringing in a guest who is a friend of Mark and I's by the name of Ken, and Ken will be jamming Delta Green because it's like his favorite game and he knows it really well, and I think he'll do a good job with it. But yeah, I plan to continue that spin. I will come back for more L5R. I'm giving it lots of room. It didn't do as well. So the first episode went nuts. But I was also toying around with a little bit of I put a what, $20 into advertising that. So there's also some of that, and I'm not sure it got to the right viewers because it didn't turn around and give me a crazy amount of subscriptions. So L5R, well, it was a ton of fun. With all the streamers we had to organize to make that happen, it didn't produce what I thought it would. I know we used an older system, but I'm not gonna lie. I don't think people even pay that much attention to what system you're using when you run an actual play. Like, do they really watch your dice rolls much? Not a lot of the time, you know? They tend to care more about what your jokes are or what your story is, depending on what they're here for. Unless you're running around with a grid, because that's like the way a lot of D&D gets recognized. But lots of people run Pathfinder on D&D and never gets called out. So I don't think people care that much as long as it's generally the same type of system. So I don't think people would have noticed that much that I ran an older L5R. Yeah, exactly. It's the samurai stuff. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, the weebs are a market I need to get. There's so much overlap between weebs and role players. It's not funny. We gotta shoot for that mark. In all seriousness, I had a great talk with Cyber Bro the other day. We talked about how we've done pretty good at pulling a lot of the Pendragon market. At least the crossover market between I'm a Pendragon fan and I'll bother to sit down and watch a 3-hour actual play. That's not even the same market, right? So we've done a good job of that, but that's it. That's all I do on my stream. And then we have some overlap thanks to Mark's games for Vampire. But there's all these games with diehard fans. And I think that's what the Saturday rotation aims to do, is go after those groups, those fans, the fans of Daggerheart. I know that's kind of a newer group, so we'll see what that looks like. And it's probably saturated right now, but we're putting out as quick as we can. I was excited because I haven't seen a ton of it. And then I just noticed that the Unexpectables, are rocking 200 people in the Daggerheart server channel right now. I'm like, well, it's out there. It is what it is. But after that, we got Delta Green, and we'll probably try to target things when they're popular. I think Mark was the one that mentioned, why not bring up an X-Men game during X-Men 97? That would have done really well. So we'll probably pay attention a little bit more to what's coming out, what we're excited about, and try to hit them during their peak phase. The L5R game was so much fun that I will be following it up. It will happen. I'm just giving it some space. And I need Vampire and Call of Cthulhu on this server. They're two of my favorite games. I have nothing of them on this server. That will happen as well. So we will see some of that in the Saturday rotations. I'm going to get creative, following the Magi RPG rule, what they're doing. I think. I don't know I can't remember the name of the guy that runs Magi RPG. But he's in some of the games as a player. Sometimes he GMs, I think very rarely. A lot of times he's just the producer. And I'm okay with that. There might be some games where I'm I think I'm just going to be rude during this game. Everyone knows how much I love D&D. There might be a point where running D&D is best for this server, but I'm better off just maybe being behind the scenes on that one. I don't know. We'll see. But it's an option. I do like the idea that I can swing into a cast member or the GM or just the producer at any point. Because we've learned a lot with the producing side. We're still learning. I'm working on better introductions and, going through all our old actual plays. I realized how much of a mistake it is to start each one with, let's meet every member of the cast in the least interesting way possible. Those first 30 seconds are vital. I think it's those first 30 seconds of the first L5R episode that made it hit I want to say it's at 30. What's it on YouTube? I'll just check. It's up there. It's up there. It might be my most popular video. It is. 3.5k views, 3,500 somewhere in there. It does round up a bit, but it has unhorsed my John Borman's Excalibur reaction with AP and Air Fulgaris to be the highest one. So we will go back to that. Sadly, the second highest, like episode 2, was like under 200. So it's, it fell off quick for an 8-episoder. When I do L5R, it'll be because of my passion for L5R. Not because I don't think it fits in the, man, that did really well, let's bring it back because it did really well phase. So Delta Green, for sure. Daggerheart, for sure. If you are a GM and you've got to propose for a one-shot of something that's popular, hit me up. I'd be happy to produce a one-shot. There'll be lots of rooms for one-shot in between these little mini-series, right? Like, for example, Daggerheart ends at September 6th, and we're not launching Delta Green until, I think we're doing a behind-the-scenes character creation on the 27th. So ton of room there, like 2 weeks. Someone wanted to do a Mothership one-shot or Shadow Dark one-shot. I'd be happy to produce and come play or whatever. Just let me know. I think as long as it's not the same repetitive stuff, but and things that close nicely in a one-shot. So Shadow Dark is very much designed for one-shots. Call of Cthulhu's great for one-shots. Mothership's great for one-shots. Etc., etc., etc. Hit me up, and happy to host your game and potentially play in it, if it makes sense. All right. Let's talk about the dividing of the channels. So I'm about 99% sure I'm going to do this. I had to think a lot about it because I don't want to screw myself for the long run. But this is what I'm thinking about doing. One sec. Before I do this, Cyberbro says Mothership is sick. It is, in fact. I got to play it once where we all red shirts on Captain Kirk's USS Enterprise, and it was amazing. Shout out to I forget something they, you know what, they stream on the Gen Con channel. You can check them out there. Realm Alternus, I want to say it was. Shout out to Realm Alternus. Super fun one shot. So talking about the dividing of the channel, I have Ticking Time Bomb Chronicle. Let's pull this up here. Give me a sec to launch a page. Screen. Window capture. Camera. There we go. Okay. So if you look at our really old episodes. Oh crap, I hid some of them, but we have, because I was redoing them. But our really old videos were in like over 1,000. So they were doing pretty well as episode 1s. our latest stuff for this is like that's good at 65 views. 35 to 25 is kind of consistent. Going back, the best I can tell, I confuse the algorithm by the interviews being hot. Like this Andrew Orvidal one underperformed. Maybe it's my thumbnail. Who knows? Might just be that his name doesn't pop as much. You know. Sorry, Andrew, if you watch this. No hate. But I have, you know, the one with me, myself, and Die with Trevor Duvall. It's at like 2.3K and counting, and this one with Chris Clark underperformed. By the way, news on this Chris Clark, he is in litigation against Gary Gygax's son. I'm trying to get more info on it, but I will find out more. Interesting news. John, you know, John's, this is a second posting of John's video, and it's at over 600. Some of these are my fault, like Peter deserves more than this, but I gave him a crappy text and font, probably. This is where not being an artist can fail you. Obviously, the Pendragon ones do well. David Larkins, who's the line editor at 1.6. Robert Schroeder, Bob Schroeder, who Vortimer. We have him on all the time. I'm going to be talking to him again soon. But he, you know, these do well because turns out people are here for Pendragon. Kind of makes sense, right? They're doing so well that I think they're confusing the audience. So the post that kind of proves this in my mind is if we go down to, I'd ask people why they're here. I got 29 votes. That's about my active audience, is 25 to 35 consistent people, because those are the people that are constantly replying to my votes when I put them out there. But you can see there's only 10% that cross over. And now more people are here for the interviews than they are for the actual plays. Right? So, are you guys still talking about L5R? Jesus. All right, so so with that noted, I don't have the audience that is interested in both these things together. It's not the same audience. I'm starting to realize the target audience for actual plays is a very niche portion and a very niche portion. Like, yes, the big audiences, you could argue that they're so pop culture that people just show up to Critical Role and then they get brought into, ooh, what's L5R? Or, sorry, oh, what's D&D? What's Daggerheart? Like, tell me. But they're already popular. You know? Most of Dungeon Tube's full of news, drama, silly banter, clicks, and you know, the new stuff on YouTube that encourages you to like make everything dramatic now as a clickbaitable thing means that everyone's bought into this, and more people are stepping on more people's toes, I think, because you're going to get more views if you say it in a rude or offensive way in your title than if you just say it as is. Actual plays or APs aren't quite the same way. I've been doing a lot of data on people that run actual plays that don't have an easy in because they're famous from something else. And they kind of are in the same boat. Like, they're better than the let's call them the target peer audience. They're close enough. Like, they're slightly bigger than me on YouTube. or somewhat bigger than me on YouTube, and quite a bit bigger than me on Twitch, because for whatever reason, I just can't seem to get, even though I have return people that pop in all the time, I don't have all the follows that I'd love to have. We're still sub 400, shooting for that 400 milestone. Feel free to, if you're watching, add a like. We love that here. Please subscribe. We love that here. But in all seriousness, these target audiences, they're not doing amazing. I've started to realize that there's like a Patreon aspect to this, or other means of funding. And I think that's where people are making their money. So that bridges really nicely into my next topic, which is Patreon. But I'm going to talk real quickly first. I'm going to talk real quickly first about dividing the two audiences. To do that, it pains me to take this step, but I'm going to create a TTRPG Talks channel. I debated calling it Taking Time Bob Talks, but I think I need the word TTRPG in there, or RPG Talks. I have to see if RPG Talks is already a channel. If it is, then I need to be careful with that. I would assume it is. If it's not, I might trim it down to that, but I want to keep it something that's more consistent with what I've already put out there, because what I've put out there is quite successful. But I've realized with the talks that there are a lot of interesting people to talk to in this space. They're not all necessarily game designers. In fact, game designers, right? Talking Time Bob. Yeah, listen, I've thought about all those things. My problem is they still don't link back to TTR, to role-playing games enough to where, like, my funnel isn't going to funnel unless I have RPG in the name, you know? It's something I could change it to. Like, I could pivot to Talking Time Bob, or Taking Time Bob Talks, or I can pivot to something like that. I think I need to start out with TTRPG Talks. I'm not going to be moving all the old videos over. I might redo some of the shorts, because the shorts did pretty well, right? Like, shorts don't require clicking. They just, you scroll down and they happen. So you end up looking at shorts and they just get more views. Doesn't mean they're more popular. This means they get thrown in people's faces regardless, okay? Some of them have done very well. What are my most popular ones? Yeah. So the Trevor Duvall ones both hit 3,000. The Pendragon in 3 minutes kind of keeps popping up for people. So I'm glad that that's working. And then some of my React videos and actual play videos from there. I started to move towards actual play shorts, and they do okay. They don't really do nuts on YouTube. But again, that might be because my audience is being confused. So I'll keep trying there. What I am going to do is I'm going to divide out the talks. I'm not going to repost the old ones. I'm going to keep them where they are on YouTube. And eventually they'll stop popping off. And, well, they are popping off, so they might help with growth. And everything new in the talks will be on its own channel. I think we're confusing the algorithm by having these two. All the analysis I've done, it's kind of like a coin toss, like it's an uncertainty, but I think I need to separate the two because we're not big enough. If we're huge, if people are like, I'm here because Bob's the brand, or let's even say one of our players is, because that's common enough. We're here because Zach is the super well known, and he's in all of Bob's stuff. Let's say, yeah, let's use that as an example. You know, Zach, if Zach had 500,000 followers on YouTube, you could bet at least 10% of those followers would show up to watch him on our stream, right? If that's 5 million, imagine what that would look like. We don't have all that stuff. We're a small fry. So what's happening is it's throwing our video at, it's like, oh, hey, you like this cool 40-minute interview about game design with Trevor Duvall? Watch this 3-hour episode about Pendragon being played by some nerds on the internet. You know, this is a different audience. Like, everyone's a nerd in this space. There's no slight there, but these are different sub genres of what you're looking for. Even if I just watched an interview for 50 minutes, I'm less likely to watch the actual play. And I think that's why people like MCDM, Matthew Colville, and them split out their actual play to their own thing, because they think it literally does confuse the algorithm of who to show these things to. So showing our actual plays more now to like people that aren't into actual plays, and I need to fix that algorithm. The only way I can think to do that is to stop posting my interview work there and let that recover. Alternatively, I could go repost 500 actual play videos or whatever we're at, dating all the way back to low quality in 2021, and I don't think I want to do that either. Some of our videos are back in like 720p or below for that early stage. I don't think we want to go there. Just poor, we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't have the money. If I could go back and change one thing, I would have bought better tech and gotten more involved financially with it up front, so that early stuff was more recoverable. But part of the process is, yeah, I got to start working. I know I'm working on it behind the scenes. Patreon access though. So yeah, this isn't frustration. This is just like strategy and what I'm doing. I'm separating these two out. So let's talk about what is happening with the interviews that will make them cool. So I've decided to expand the interviews to, I left room even in the pitch. The pitch is TTRPG talks, where we sit down with either game designers or creators, is what I say, to discuss the games we love. I've been talking for a while with just game designers. I want to emphasize the creators aspect of that. I wasn't sure what the market was for that, but I've started putting out the asks. My target will be still a standard. Like, I'm aiming for you to be at 1,000 subscribers or followers, or depending on which platform you're on either, for me to talk to you. I get that sounds hypocritical when I'm not at 1,000, but it can dilute the content if we're just talking to every brand new streamer that's coming out, So I've talked with Lollygaggers. They're actually producing a couple of indie RPGs. Like the main guy from Lollygaggers, Jeff, I want to say, is producing a game, and then another member of his that's a regular is on backer kit with a game. I think they would be a great group to sit down with, especially because they're friends of ours. They raid in all the time. They do what we're looking to strive to do on Saturdays, which is 3 or 4 days a week. They cycle through what's hot or games they want to play and they do a good job with it. And they're pretty high production. They've been at it for a long time. I think they'd be fun to sit and talk with. So I got them lined up. I put out the ask, sort of the swinging for the fences. Hey, could I talk to Troy or Joe from Glass Cannon Network? Don't think that was going to happen, but you never know. I've put an ask out to Sensei Suplex. I'll probably put one out to Dork Tales and to Blackwater D&D. I'm sure Crit Crafters is just a few months away from being at 1,000. And please check Crit Crafters out, by the way. Super friendly and helpful to our community and supportive of our community. But yeah, love to sit down with him and talk on our stream as well. Just get some, I think as I've started to talk to game designers, I've realized that they're not necessarily like the most popular people on the internet. I think there are still people that would love to hear from them, but the funnel isn't as big as making sure I go after creators as well. And there's some creators doing some really cool stuff. I hope to so there's a League of Legends guy named Bustin, right? He does a Naruto MMO on Twitch, and it's probably a different crowd than his League crowd. Don't get me wrong, but there's probably again that 10 to 30% overlap. And so if I can get him to come and sit and talk to me, that would be huge. I think seeing what people are doing that's innovative in the space will probably draw some attention. It probably won't be as big as we're not talking about controversies and drama. If we are right in there, why is Matt Colville releasing Draw Steel in a way that isn't as supportive of as Wizards of the Coast was to its fans, because he's like one or three dudes, there's lots of easy answers to these questions, but it's easier to be dramatic about it and to follow the hype trend, the over dramatization, and I just don't. That's not me. I don't have any interest in those topics. That would be the easy. If I started one of those pages, it would be big in 5 months. It would also eat my soul to do something like that. This is not me. So let's talk about Patreon and what I plan to do. I think Patreon, I can do this in a way where I don't have to show my login, right? Okay. I will post it in both places just so you know where it is. I might be making some partial revisions to this, but I've also already made some revisions. All right, so continuing on with what are we doing different with Patreon? So changing the membership levels is the start. I will probably add a free membership level, but all it will be, if I'm going to be honest with you, is a way of keeping advertised to what's happening. I'll probably eventually put some advertisements on there. Membership options. There we go. So I have a new option called Kimmery Supporter. It's at $3 US. So this is the big one I want to advertise. So it'll give you access to the Kimry supporter Discord role. So you have a unique role there. And the new part, and the part I'm hoping that the Pendragon community might like, they have cards that they utilize a lot in 6th edition Pendragon. Let's pull this and hope for the best. The 6th edition Pendragon comes with cards and stuff. Cards for feasts, cards for battle. And I had the thought that they come with blank templates originally. Why not do sometimes, like family? Because they have the template, and all I need is like editing software. So I'm gonna commit to a card a week. They won't always be perfectly balanced at that rate, but I think it's up to the player. Maybe they take it and do their own thing with it. Maybe I provide both the PSD, like Photoshop, editable Photoshop format, as well as the card itself, so they can take it and do what they want with it. But at the end of the day, these are just going to be extra custom cards that players can print and put in the regular deck. This will all be 6th edition format, so we'll be using 6th edition format in digital format. I also do things like NPCs and such, so for being at the lowest tier of supporter, you'll get access to those things and be able to use them on your own. And that's, if you're in Canada with me, that's $4.50 Canadian right now. Or $3 US. Why is it? Are we at 50? We're not at 50% exchange rate, are we? 1.39. Okay. They're just taking extra off the top. Good times. But that is the new thing. So from there's the entourage level. In addition to what you get there prior, you'll get the entourage Discord role. You'll be able to join access to Patreon hosted content. So I have my Ubar series. That is the level if you want to watch that in advance. You can watch it there. Or any of the higher tiers from there. There is the Famuli. So Famuli, you'll get the Famuli Discord role. You also get access to any of the behind the scenes stuff. So if you want to see our session 0 that Cyberbro, Mark and I did for Daggerheart, you can do so. Do the same thing for our Delta Green session 0 when we go to do that. In addition to that, monthly, just once a month, I'm going to do a GM workshop and Q&A. So this would be trying to help new GMs thrive better. It's not going to be system specific, but I wouldn't blow my mind if the majority of people coming to ask me stuff is about like, how do I run Pendragon? And I think I'm even more fine-tuned to answer those questions. But I've run a whole hell of a lot of systems. I'm pretty good at just GMing in general. I think that would be something I can pass on. I've been studying the greats for a long time, and I think I can pass on and coach people to be great themselves at their own tables. So that's $10 Famuli or $14.50 Canadian. And then I have a limited seats, six of them. It's a round table night. I believe it's 35 US or 50 Canadian. So the roundtable night will actually give you access to the roundtable night Discord role, which is no one's ever bought this, but I have a roundtable group that has my stream members in it, obviously, because they're part of my success. Someone that's willing to give me that kind of money monthly, 35 a month, is also a major contributor to my success, and I like to welcome them in by making them part of what we do behind the scenes. I show a lot of my graphs and a lot of my internal thinking, and sometimes I'll bring my woes there if I'm struggling with something. Um, but yeah, that will be there. It will be limited to 6 seats outside of my games. The only other people that are in that group have seats at the first 2 tables, anyways. I might go ahead and just open that to the Nanty boys because they've been awesome as well. I have Trent there, I believe, as the Open Pendragon Herald. That's why he's in that. So yeah, with these tiers, my goal, I'd love if people join the round table. I love if people were familiar entourage. But if you can spare that $3 a month for the Kimmery supporter, and you're a fan of Pendragon, you're gonna get some actual printable stuff for that. And my hope is to present that in a way to the community so they can see that part. If you want more NPC or enemy cards that are well thought out, if you want more feast cards that are thought out, yeah, you'll get to see those happen. And sometimes I'll even build them here, like while I'm doing these chats. Like it'd almost be easier to just build one right now and get people to sit along and join in. And then if they want the product, they can go and download it. So that is what I'm doing. Any questions on that topic? All right. I'm going to go ahead and just show some of the things that I'll also be providing. What tier is that at? I think it's the $10 one. So I'll just do a quick overview. All right, so Kimmery supporter, $3 per month. That's the one that has the Pendragon cards and creation. Kimmery supporter Discord role, entourage. That's the role in Discord plus the Patreon hosted content such as tools for Roll20, which we'll get into in a minute, and all previous tier benefits. Then Famuli role for Famuli, behind the scenes YouTube videos. This is where I'm going to do the GM workshops. For $10 a month, you'll get access to a GM workshop. And all previous tier benefits. Finally, there's a roundtable night. You'll get access to. So I talked a little bit about like the Discord role and all that. But you'll also be able to ask me for specific topics. So you'll be able to actually like direct me towards certain things. If there's certain things, if someone's gonna pay me to put out certain content, that's literally getting paid for time and effort. So I won't say they'll be the most promising content you'll ever lay eyes on, but you'll probably find some use for it. All right. Let me just see. I just got a battery low. I'm gonna see how my mic is doing. 10%. I'll probably get enough to get through the rest. Okay, so let's talk about some of the things that will be accessed at the $10 level. So I have a whole bunch of roll tables that I can export if you're a fan of Roll20. Especially it's things like the random person. I think we put a lot of time into these. These weren't things stolen from anyone else, even though I got a lot of these ideas from Eric Bulgaris. I took, for example, the so you'll roll a random person. You can actually determine the gender in which they're presenting. You can take that two different ways. You can, if your game has more like a modern gender structure, then there you go. Also, presented gender can also be Sir Dallin masquerading, or Elizabeth masquerading as Sir Dallin, right? Like, so take that as you will. Homeland region. So this is out of Book of Sires to some degree. I just took the regions that are there. You can see that their homeland is rolled, and then these individual regions can be rolled based on what region it says up here. So this one says the current setting. But if I roll someone same region, I can be like, well, I'm in Salisbury. Salisbury's part of the South Counties of Logres. Oh, look, this person's not from Salisbury. They're from Dorset. It has their tribe and their homeland. The homeland region is a random roll across everything. And I even have a very small chance that who you encounter is a fae. But so small, like 1% out of 100 or something. How did I build the random person table? So there is a, first off, to access almost all the power that Roll20 has, you have to have a pro membership. The middle tier, whatever that one is, like there's free, then there's the next level, then there's the top level. In the mid level, I think you get access to like everything that's relevant to the custom scripting and stuff. You have the power cards template, and then there's just formats. So I'll just show you how that looks. And it's just calling a whole bunch of different roll tables. And then adding some buttons at the bottom. I converted, someone did a spreadsheet with 1,000 male Kimry names. I converted something to, there were only like 78 female Kimry names. I think I did extend that though. But there's 1,000 plus male Kimry names. You'll see that and you'll go, why does Cadogan show up so much? I did weight them according to in the spreadsheet. There's actually a weighting table. Let me just pull that out. It's a pretty cool spreadsheet. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, that's not what I want. Oh no, did it go bye-bye? Dang it. Yes. Well, it used to exist, but there was a weighting. So certain names are like more popular. I'll give you an example. I was just thinking about this, In an ideal scenario, if you were going to write the story behind the scenes of the Avengers, or behind the scenes of Marvel Phase 4's success, you probably wouldn't want to have 3 Chris's. Like if that were a fictional story, you'd come up with 3 different names for those people. Not their characters, the people playing them. But Chris, as it turns out, Christopher is a very popular name. So was Cadrigan, I guess. It pops up all the damn time, or variations of it. And kind of same with some of the others. Philip is another one that pops up all the time. Continuing on. This one I stole from Eric, so I won't post it, but I have a justice table. This is out of one of the books anyways, but we use that for the justice. Heraldry, I borrowed this, I transcribed this from the Song of Ice and Fire role-playing game. So, just because there's a little more nuance to it, so it'll give you one tincture, a second tincture, a metal, a fur, and partitions. So if I needed to tell someone what a shield looks like, I could use this to quickly come up with a shield in my mind. Or I could go to draw shield and try and build it. Should we try to do that real quick? I'm going to see how quickly I can build the shield or an equivalent thereof and draw shield. Let's go. Okay, so we got to go over here. Green, we'll say green and white. Solid partition, and then subordinary is on it. Parley of X. Okay. Green. Usually with X, we just do 1d6 plus 1. 5. I don't know if I see parley though. That is sometimes it doesn't perfectly translate with draw shield, unfortunately. Was it parley? Pally. What? I'm like, what is a parley? I've never heard of that. It's a pally. Okay, that I believe is just pale. That's what it is. It's these bars. We could do that. As a quick. Oh, it doesn't show it. That's sad. Here, I'll fix it. So you can do that real quickly. Let's go back to the beginning. Green. So it kind of has weird names, but I go, okay, it meant Pally. What did I roll? 5? Let's see what it has for 5. Does it have anything for 5? Let's just do this. Endorses a 4. And we'll make it white. That's basically what it wanted, right? And then if I wanted the shields you always see on my channel, I just copy and paste it over here and I draw it up here. That gives me the style I want. I'll show you one other thing with this tool. Is that endorses a 4 again. White. If I say no more actions, it asks me if I want to add an achievement. The cloaking, I think, really makes the shields pop. Right? So add the cloaking. Then when I put it over here in this format, it'll look like all the shields we see often in the game now. And I can come down into preferences, and I'll often change it to draw shield. Based on colors, you can kind of tell what the color palette looks like. But this, if I do that, and then I Turn this back to shiny. This is kind of how it typically looks when I do it. Yeah, so that is that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hide that again. Not sure why I was hiding it, but there might have been a reason. Let me just check here. No questions on the YouTube side. If you're watching on either, appreciate any likes you can give me. I would love it. If you haven't subscribed, please do. We'll be doing this content more often. Any support you have is wonderful. And then just continuing down the list. So on top of that, we do these things with certain enemies, or we do like custom cards for them. I think the best ones we have are the Cornish mercenaries. Yeah, this structure, or maybe it's the Saxons. We're starting to see like these are a little bit structured like the cards. I call these dynamic cards. So your enemies are going to be... Look, we've been playing a long time, so these enemies look crazy tough. That's on purpose. We want them to be crazy tough in our game where we've been playing for months and months and months. These are not starting enemies. These I call dynamic cards, and they're pretty easy to make once you have all the base roll tables in place. Get into bonus cards. This was something I was playing around with. It didn't work quite how I wanted it to. I probably just need to sit down or task somebody or work with a couple of people, build a bunch of cards out like Crit Crafters does, or I've seen, I can't remember what the name of the tool Crit Crafters uses, but I've seen someone do it on Dixper as well, where you build content that people can use bits to buy and bring into the game. That'd be pretty cool. I'm not sure how I'll do the cards going forward, but we'll do something. And that is about everything I need to show on here. Some of this is just taking roll tables that exist in the various Pendragon 5th edition content and moving it over to this format. Okay. Well, if you want to stick around, I'm probably going to try and get the Pendragon cards going. I'm going to get it up and running first on this side. I'll get that going. It's probably going to take a few minutes for me to figure this out, and then I'll make it visible for y'all to see. This goes with the caveat of I've only played the 5th edition cards a few times, and I probably should get my physical cards out. I printed a bunch, and then I can flip through them by hand too as we go. Just because trying to run too many PDFs at once is a pain in the ass. There we go. Printable feast cards. These are free on the Chaosium site, by the way. Oh, welcome in, Lady Max. Good to see you. I don't know why I said Lady Mags. Like I'm just throwing a nickname that I'm not even sure you use. Apologies if you don't. For those that are confused, if you're watching on YouTube, it's because I have a Twitch audience as well. And I should probably work on making it visible to folks so you can see that content pop up, especially in this type of format. Okay, let's make this fun. We're gonna build our own template off the template, and by that all I mean is we're gonna crop and copy so that um, we're not. I don't want a full card sheet. I know that people probably wish there was a full card sheet. I probably will every 9 cards. I'll probably make it into a card sheet for people. But for now, I'll new. I use a super duper old version of Photoshop because I have a copy of it. So don't judge me there. All right, let me pull open. I will share that. This. All right. That's not what I want. Let's get Photoshop going. Let's see if it just works with window capture. Might not because it's software. I'm just testing this to make sure it works. This might be good enough. Hey, look at that. There we go. Actually, I don't want to crop that because I might need to expand it at times. Do that. Okay. I will be right back. I'm just going to quickly fill up my water bottle and I'll grab my cards and then we'll get started. I have my deck O cards, specifically my deck of Pendragon Feast cards that you can see right here. Okay. For this first one, let's do this in a community fashion. Okay. I'm gonna roll one at random, and I'm gonna let people add their own equivalents to it. I'll explain. So if you're familiar with anything I've done prior, you'll know that I love the Ironsworn Oracle tables as an idea generator more than like a adherent. I like roll tables. I never thought I would. I used to make fun of them. I think they can be a poorly designed roll table sucks to work with unless it's like comical. But we're gonna quickly roll right in here. So action, debate, secret. Okay. So option 1 is debate secret. What this is, it's action and theme. So I have debate secret. Just posted that to YouTube. Hey David, thanks for the sub. I appreciate what you say. Yeah, I get it. The improv types having fun. I think there's more to it. I think to defend, because I have that same opinion about a lot of actual plays, which is why I stayed away from them for a long time. And I still prefer more like a glass cannon where they sit down and talk. But I will say, like, I think even the improv ones, sometimes they're just new role players figuring it out. And as someone who didn't start with D&D, sometimes those people actually become better role players because they don't have to like undo all this focus that the game that I don't want to slay D&D. I'm trying to navigate around this. Everyone knows it's not my favorite game. Let's throw that out as a caveat. But they don't have to, like, when you're learning D&D, especially anything past 3 forward, you're learning a lot about how to develop like a League of Legends character or like a World of Warcraft character. It's about a build, and a format, and that's what your focus is. And power gamers can do that with any game. So I'm not saying it's unique to that, but when you get these acting types, let's say people that have acting background, their instincts around story are actually quite good already. But when they go into like a D&D thing, it's like, no, our focus is like the build. Like, don't worry about that. We need to worry about the build. And I think there are games where if you just let them play that game, they'll actually be skipping tutorial mode on how to roleplay. So anyways, long story aside, I used to have more of a negative lens on, say, like the stage actor, actual play vibes. But the more involved I've been in actual plays directly, the more I look at those things with kinder eyes, and I don't take that same negativity or harsh lens, let's say. Okay, so we have debate secret, folks. Is there anything else? Does anyone else want to throw out 2 words, just like debate secret? They have to fit somewhat well, and we're gonna roll for the best option. Or maybe we'll put a poll for the best option. So there's debate secret, which is actually quite good. Action and theme. Do we have any fan add-ons? I want 5 to vote for. I'll give it a few minutes to see if people add in to the list. I need to look up a quick polling tool that'll allow me to pull both too. Poll maker sounds familiar. Let's see if that worked. Yep. We'll use poll maker for this. Okay, debate secret. We got betray medical. Interesting. Don't be shy if you want to be creative. Defy destiny. With 1 more minute, and then I'll click roll a couple more times to make sure we have 5 to work with. Persuade month. It's all good, folks. We'll be doing this somewhat regular, so feel free to pop in. I'm just adding what was added so people can take the survey. Poll is up. Feel free to cast your vote for the best one. Okay, I'll add one more. Entice confession. We're gonna redo the poll here. So just resending it out. There we go. think I can go to the dashboard view. Let me just check this out. Oh, that's the... All right. If anyone hasn't voted, we have a tie. So please vote. All right, gang. We're going to give it one more minute and I'll reveal the victor. Probably would have helped if I wrote Entice Confession rather than Entire Confession. That was my bad. Though I guess if Entire Confession won, that would be its own thing. Someone just dumping a full confession. Just a full, like, courtly crash out. $20 seconds. All right. I'll show the page as is, and then we will refresh one more time to see if that's changed. All right. Defy Destiny 1. All right. So now I need to get into theming for this card. I'm going to go ahead and open that. We'll get words down on it, and then we'll fix fonts and stuff. How's that sound? Like, let's not start with 200. I feel like that's probably a mistake. Let's find one of these. It's not what I want yet. I just said I wasn't going to do this. Damn it. I need to ask someone what fonts they use. That would be handy. A very thin one, whatever they use. Damn. That'll work for now. It's basic enough. Okay, so Defy Destiny. Okay. So defying destiny to me has to do with your station. Let's start there, because that's a big theme in 6th edition is stations of passion you can get, which means like how much you care that a monk is doing something that only knights should do, or a lady is doing something that only knights should do. So like the immediate thought I had with Defy Destiny is like a I mean my immediate thought is like Dallin, right? Like masquerading as a male knight. It's a little weird because there are dame allowed in our setting, which are female knights, but in our setting we've made them kind of rare. Like they aren't just like every second knight's a dame knight. We made them specifically. We made them that way. I mean, I was leaning that way early on, anyways, but we kind of did it partially because we did it because Dallin, right, as a character, like it just we leaned into that hard so that we had a female knight as her masquerading as her brother, and that was interesting. Okay. Um, Let me see what the book says about station. Be a good way to look at it. Yeah, and it wasn't common in our setting when the dames showed up. It's still not in our setting. It's just more common in Anarchy, and I think in like the most practical way possible. It's like too many knights died. We need more knights. We're gonna be less picky. There's no king to tell us no. So there were like certain areas where they were just more common. Also, we played on the traditional roles of Christianity tying in there too. I'm not sure why it's the book that's making my camera go nuts or what. Just try to be careful. So let me see if I can find station real quick. It's in passions. Station is a civilitas. Ooh, you can become miserable. Very nice. So melancholy, then there's misery. Guilty homage. Chivalry. There we go. Station. So the examples it gives where a station might come in is a commoner fails to lower their face. Commoner takes liberties with a noble. Commoner or group of commoners offer offense, violence to nobles. A lower ranking noble offers offense, violence. Maybe we won't go with station. I like the idea of it, but destiny could be something. Defy destiny. I do like it from the sense of like punching beyond your means, right? Let's see here. I like this one here. Where is it? Unopposed first aid. I think there's one we can model off of, which is like coming to the aid of someone in distress. Let me see. Minstrel sings, host calls for a hunt. Oh, I got an idea. Okay, this has popped in my head. Maybe what we'll do with this one, Defy Destiny, is what if a squire comes up to your character and they know that they're about to age out of being squire and they know they're not going to make it, and they're pleading for you to speak to their lord on their behalf, or their knight on their behalf, to sway them. A squire's last chance. Let's see. Move that down to 14. So duplicate this layer here. Change the font so it can be viewable. Looks like it's a gray. I'll need to find the exact fonts. Get a font guru to help me out. So, but in the meantime, a knight. Okay, so we're gonna say the squire approaches you. What's the biggest? Okay, these have to be short. So a desperate squire approaches you. Let's see if we turn that down a bit. It's about right. I think if we bring the U up, they'll be even. There we go. Duplicate again. Okay, so now we need to make a decision here. What is a decision? Is this a decision card? I think it's a decision card. So decision is almost always two opposed traits. Merciful? This might be merciful, I'm thinking. Yeah, I like that. So, we'll start with that for now. Decision, merciful and cruel. Forgive the font. We'll fix that in a second. We got to go with the fonts that are actually used to some degree. When I say that, I mean the colors for now. We'll have to figure out what the actual font should be. And that would be like 10 point, I want to say. That's about right. I don't think that's quite right, though. Huh? Yeah, it is. I'm seeing if there's any of these cards that have like the format for this, because that first part doesn't quite deal with what we need it to. Okay, so this is going to be a little more broad because it seems to be how the cards work. I can't really fit. Unless someone can think how to write it, I can't really fit like what the consequence will be. Approaches you with a desperate plea. Um, Desperate plea to be knighted. See if we can work with that. So if we go bring up another word. Does that fit? It does. Actually, I like that. That's a nice font. What about 16 maybe? 18 won't work. Okay. So then we get into standard font. Maybe we'll work with Times New Roman for now. Ariel. I didn't want that. Actually, looks better than that, doesn't it? We'll go with Arial. I feel like Arial would be the right font if I can italicize. Yeah, that's not bad. We're going to duplicate that. Bring that down here. This part's black font, so it's pretty straightforward. What did I do? Okay. So, black font. Get rid of go with regular. I think 10's still too big for this. It's probably like an 8 font. We'll see. Merciful success. You join him in his lament to the exclusion of all else. So that's the base card I'm basing this also. So instead of that, we're going to say the merciful success. Do you agree to speak to his sire? To his knight on his behalf? Courtesy rule. Roll courtesy. Okay, so test courtesy. Let's say Steal a checkbox. Okay, so like that font size just too small. So let's fix that first. So otherwise, what's success? You agree to speak to their knight on his behalf. Roll courtesy. On success, their knight agrees to reconsider the squire's knighting. I think that works. I'm gonna try save for web and see how bad this looks. Not bad. We're gonna launch that again. Hmm. There we go. So that's what that looks like right now. So fonts aside, I don't think that's bad. I also need a font that will allow me to bold one word. Well, that sucked. I meant a word went off. I think this is could be that way. It could be like an early card or whatever. But I think for this one, what we want is this is more like maybe we need to find out where united before it's too late. That has a suggestion that they're about to be esquired. Unfortunately, I think this font only needs to go down one. No. And fix the check mark. I feel like that black font is almost like too much. See if we can tone it down a bit. Yeah, that's probably more it. Ooh. No, Helen, you need to wait. That's true. Will they, though? That's the question. Okay. So that was a super prolonged, or. Yeah, it took a while. Oh, there's one other thing. I did not put a geniality amount. +1 geniality, merciful. It's not really a consequence. So I think the card's going to be a 0. It'll be a 0 card. Like that lovely white font. And then we will make that like size 18? 14? 14 looks right. Okay. I think. What did I do for this font? Let's try Gladness. I think it's too. It's not going to work, but we're going to try it. You know, it does kind of work. Okay, and so this likely isn't actually a decision card. It's just a test. Test merciful. And I'm going to try that Loudcaster font here too. Might be too small. Let me try upping that. No, I don't think that works. Okay. Save this as custom card. And then we're going to save the actual published thing. Squire's Last Chance. We cut away from this window to here. That's what it looks like now. That let's try that. I think pretty much looks good, except for I don't like where the number is. It looks slightly off. There we go. Closer. Does it need to go over one more time? Might need to go over one more time. Maybe it didn't save. Must not have saved. There we go. All right. Our very first ever custom Pendragon beast card. As noted, I'm going to be doing these or something, building something in the Pendragon space weekly. You can access these on the Patreon. I'm going to put this one up first thing tonight at the $3 level or whatever that converts to that's $3 USD. So whatever that converts to in your currency, if you're not USD primary. I'm going to close this out here because I did say this was an update. I had quite a few people here. Thanks so much for watching in both YouTube and Twitch. I'd appreciate it if I could get any likes and follows if you like this content. We're going to be doing this a little bit more for the Patreon, for the Pendragon fans. And, it's kind of the gift that keeps giving because I get to do something for an awesome community and I get to use these in my Pendragon streams. So, thanks so much for watching. We are pretty low on Twitch viewers, but we'll rate out somewhere there. If you're watching on YouTube, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.